The Latin music scene is huge, and I mean huge. There are millions of monthly listeners amongst multiple artists. The top most listened artist in the world is Bad Bunny at 108 million monthly listeners. The goddess Rosalia has an average 31 million listeners a month. Romeo Santos has 39 million listeners a month. The icon Selena has 10 million listeners a month. And amongst these legends is one woman with a very strong fan base and a beloved artist in Mexico with 8 million monthly listeners. Her fans love her. She sells out shows, headlines festivals, and yet hidden behind the shiny stage outfits is a woman with a very harsh past. One that has been described akin to Jeffrey Epstein's right-hand woman, Ghislaine Maxwell. A series of crimes that continue to haunt Gloria Trevi as her stardom continues to rise. Hey, I'm Serenity. Welcome back to another episode of Hometown Horrors. Today, we are joined with a couple of my dogs. I'm also wearing a blanket because I'm freezing. Today, we are discussing the case of Gloria Trevi, a huge Mexican pop star to this day with a career that is spanning multiple decades, and her past of being kind of Mexico's version of Ghislaine Maxwell. It is a little bit of a juxtaposition case because she does claim she is a victim, and the victims who have come forward have said that she's not. So we're going to be discussing it today. Before we begin, I do need to give trigger warnings for child abuse, sexual assault, trafficking, CSAM, which is child sexual abuse material, mentions of a child loss, SIDS mentioned, essay, and anything that revolves in that area. If any of these topics you believe you'd be unable to handle, please stop watching and put yourself first, and I'll see you at a later date with a different video. If I get any information wrong, please kindly let me know down below. Some of it was in English and some I had to translate from Spanish. As always, every single source is linked down below for you to check out for yourself. Lastly, this video is an informational research study that I am sharing for academic, entertainment reasons only. I mean absolutely no harm to anyone mentioned, especially the victim and the victim's family. One more disclaimer, kind of like off to the side. If I'm squinting at all during this video, I had eye surgery a couple days ago. I cannot wear my contacts for a couple weeks. And if I wear my glasses, which are hurting my nose because it's swollen, you're going to see a glare. So I can't see very well. So if I'm squinting at all, that is the reason. With that too, if I look a little more pale, I cannot wear any sort of makeup around my eyes at all because, again, it was an eye surgery. So if this is looking a little pale, or if the bags under my eyes are bigger than normal, that is why. That's just a side note. So grab a blanket. I am wearing mine. Grab a snack, grab a drink, sweet tea, and let's get into the case. Gloria Trevi was born on February 15th, 1968 in Monterrey, Nuevo León, Mexico, with the birth name Gloria de los Angeles Trevi. She shortened her name for the stage to just Gloria Trevi. While you may not be familiar with the name in the United States or maybe in Europe, she is a Mexican singer, songwriter who worldwide has sold out more than 20 million records. She is considered one of the best-selling Latin artists of all time. Her music is filled with themes revolving around love, loss, and freedom. In August 2025, Gloria was announced to receive the Hispanic Heritage Legends Award while still touring around Mexico. She was actively on a tour when she was receiving this Lifetime Achievement Award. At 58 years old today, she has over 5.8 million followers on Instagram, selling out headlining tours, and even she's doing like one-off shows all over Mexico currently. It was recently announced that she'd be one of the headliners at the Tecate Emblema Festival on May 16th and 17th, so it's coming up. It's next month. She's part of the lineup including Paris Hilton, the Jonas Brothers, Louis Tomlinson, Zara Larsson, and RuPaul. So that's a pretty famous lineup. It would seem like Gloria's life is magical. It's amazing. She's had an amazing career. She's one of the best-selling Latin artists of all time, and she's constantly on tour and they sell out. It's not like a comeback tour. These are actively selling out shows, but you would never know that online from what you see. Millions of followers, millions of streams, millions of likes, and loving, adoring fans. You wouldn't know that she's been compared to Ghislaine Maxwell, and some netizens even call her the Mexican version. Now, I'm not using that analogy, that likeness, lightly. I think the thing we have seen in the Western media with the coverage of the Epstein files is that we need to come to the senses that this is not a one-off case, right? There are millions of other Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, rich people out there who do the same thing. Ghislaine Maxwell is not special. And it's sad to say that because it means there's a lot of darker things hiding out there that we don't know about. But in a world where there are pick-me's and we've all had a friend who makes fun of you to look cooler in front of the men around, there's a lot of women who will do men's bidding just to be liked by them. And that is what needs to be understood, especially because Ghislaine Maxwell is not special. Jeffrey Epstein is not special. What they did is horrific and it needs to be prosecuted to the fullest. But we also need to understand if that was hiding, there are other ones all across the country, all across the world actually, that we just don't know about. And that is why Gloria has been likened to Ghislaine Maxwell for what she was doing. She's also been likened to like a Diddy situation because of her fame. So we're going to get into that. In December of 2022, allegations against Gloria Trevi and her ex-producer and manager Sergio Andretti were named in a lawsuit when two unnamed Jane Doe filed a lawsuit against the pair, claiming that the two had groomed and exploited them when they were only 15 and 13 years old, respectively. In the lawsuit, a backup singer who has also worked with Gloria and Sergio, named Maria Raquel Portillo, with her stage name Maria Porquitas, was named as being part of the abuse. Gloria has always denied these claims, stating that they were false. But in December of 2022, she wrote and released a statement stating, and I quote, "These false accusations, which were first made against me 25 years ago, have been tried in various courts, and in all instances, I have been completely and totally acquitted. For these old, disproven claims to resurface now is tremendously painful for me and all of my family. Accusations were false, were made, and they remain false today." But that's not it. This is not the case with alleged credible accusations, because Gloria Trevi, Sergio Andretti, and Maria Portillo were arrested in Rio de Janeiro back in 2000, over 25 years ago, for similar claims to these in the new lawsuit. The accusations are actually pretty haunting. The trio were fleeing prosecution for allegedly luring young girls into a cult-like ring that produced CSAM. How it worked is they would kidnap local girls, rape them, and corrupt them to the highest bidder. The three were then extradited back to Mexico after spending a couple years of jail in Rio de Janeiro while she's on the rise. Like, this is when Gloria was really having her moment, and then she went to jail. So they were extradited back to Mexico from Brazil, and it would be not until 2004 where Gloria would be acquitted of all charges pending the kidnapping, rape, and corruption of the minors. Her career just continued on. Like, she got acquitted and she went right back the next day to her career. She would discuss it again during a Billboard interview in 2014, stating, and I quote, "Many people don't understand that I wasn't detained for a crime. I was part of a process. I was exploited by those who I was working with. All I did was to be loving, faithful, and loyal. God picked me up. He protected me. He took me out. I was cleared. I was released. I never even committed a crime." So these are the repeated accusations we're going to be discussing throughout the case. This is the incident that has multiple people coming forward saying like it happened. And it's still an ongoing case, possibly going to trial today. However, it is prevalent that we need to understand the longevity and impact of Gloria's 40-year-long career that she has had on the country of Mexico. Back in 1990, her song Dr. Sequisha became her first big hit and made her an instant female Latin rock star. She had untamed crimped hair, wore these big fishnets, wear leather vests and denim skirts, really of the grunge era back in the 90s. She had released 4 albums to hit the #1 spot on Billboard's top Latin albums chart, and she had 12 singles hit the Hot Latin Songs chart, including 3 top 10s with her songs, the 90s hit Me Siento Tan Sola in the 90s, and then Cinco Minutos from 2008. In August of 2023, a biographical series about the life of Gloria Trevi titled Eles Soy Yo was released on the Televisa Univision channel, and you can watch it for free on the Roku channel. The series chronicles the rise of Gloria's stardom, starting in her adolescence into becoming a mega pop star that she is today. In a surprisingly interesting turn of events, they didn't gloss over the fact that she went to jail. The series also really does chronicle the 2000s arrest around Gloria Trevi and her ex-producer Sergio with the alleged sex cult scandal, how she was sent to prison, how she returned to stage right after being found not guilty, and her big comeback, the lead up to it. See, the thing is, when she was arrested in 2000, she stayed in a Brazilian jail for 4 years and 8 months awaiting trial, but was cleared for there not being enough evidence against her when she was extradited. In those almost 5 years, as expected, her career was halted because she was behind bars. In each episode of the series runs about 45 minutes. It has a total of 50 episodes, and it definitely feels like a telenovela, like it's over-dramatized. In 1999, right before they were arrested in Rio, Gloria Trevi actually gave birth to her first daughter, named Ana Lei Andretti. But sadly, the infant passed away at a young age. The exact details are are unclear, as Gloria herself believes that it was from SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome, but it was never confirmed with a medical professional like a coroner or anything. I also don't know if Sergio was the father, but Gloria did state that while in Brazil evading arrest, the lady who they brought with them was the one to inform her that the baby had passed. She wasn't actually there when Anna passed. In 2009, Gloria married a man named Armando Gomez, a lawyer specializing in tax-related issues. Together, the couple has welcomed 2 sons into the world, a 24-year-old boy named Angel Gabriel Gomez, born on February 18th, 2002 in Brazil. He was actually born in Brazil. A 20-year-old boy named Miguel Armando Gomez, born on August 10th, 2005 in McAllen, Texas. Interesting. Very different places to have children. In 2024, toured with her global tour called her Soundtrack Tour around 30 cities, with stops including LA, New York, Chicago, Miami. In 2026, at the time of filming this, she's actually on a tour or just wrapping up a tour around Mexico, and she's headlining some of the biggest events and festivals like I mentioned earlier. But now that you know her background, let's get back to the accusations. Hopefully now you can understand how her career and personal life are intertwined to this situation. So she's currently facing a new civil lawsuit from her connection to Sergio and the sex cult claims. The plaintiff claims that Gloria and Sergio used their role, status, and power as a well-known and successful Mexican group popstar and a famous producer in order to coerce the victims into a sexual context of a powerful pair's choosing over multiple years. Because they were famous and the power they held, they were able to leverage that power over these young women, or children basically. A majority of the coercion took place in California. The lawsuits were filed in the state just before the extended suspension of statute of limitations came to an end for sexual abuse lawsuits in California under the California Child Victims Act was set to expire on December 31st, 2022. During COVID, they had extended past crimes where if you finally felt you were able to talk about it, you could come forward and it wouldn't be held against you because the statute of limitation was now extended. The lawsuit spanned over 30 pages, and it claimed that the plaintiff faced repeated sexual abuse during childhood, harassment, and assault, with claims including suffered severe emotional, physical, and psychological distress, including humiliation, shame, and guilt. This lawsuit also came to light after a former vocalist for Gloria named Karina filed her own criminal charges against Gloria and her team, stating that anyone who wanted to be hired as part of the band and be part of Gloria's team would have to sleep with Sergio Andretti, her producer, in order to get the job, as a prerequisite part of the interview, whatever. Also, another lawsuit came to light at the time. A separate lawsuit from a decade prior filed in Texas revealed that Gloria had sued multiple TV stations for defamation around the time of her arrest in Rio for the way they were portraying it. When the lawsuit reached the Court of Appeals, they ruled that certain claims that she was trying to make of defamation could continue on in seeking justice, but most of them had to be dismissed, there was no merit to them. In the end, courts ruled that she had not been defamed by the TV stations she was suing because the claims seemed to be accurate allegedly at the time for the information that the public knew. No one knew that 4 years later she would be acquitted, so they were just reporting what they knew at the time. In December of 2023, Gloria Trevi did file a counter lawsuit against the claims, stating it was her ex-producer Sergio who was the true predator and she was just another victim, not her. And he was also the one subjecting Gloria and other girls to be victimized to total control and sadistic abuse, and that the Jane Doe that had been accusing her had actually been enlisted to perpetrate his abuse. She also made a statement stating, and I quote, "But I not remain silent while I am unfairly accused of crimes I did not commit. These false accusations, which were first made against me 25 years ago, have been tried in various courts, and in all instances, I have been completely and totally acquitted for these old, disproven claims today. A court trial carefully examined all the evidence during a judicial process that lasted almost 5 years, and they ruled in my favor. I will continue to move forward and work to get justice in this case, and I will do so knowing that the truth is on my side." It's also worth mentioning that Gloria is not the only person being sued. It is Sergio, it is Maria, it is her, but she's the most famous person. However, her counter argument is that she was also a victim of Sergio's abuse. And yes, 100%, that could be true. We don't know. There's not enough information, even though this case is public. There's not enough information because it hasn't gone to trial. We don't know if it's going to go to trial. We don't know if it's going to get dismissed. But what we do know is that allegedly to these two Jane Doe, they believe that Gloria was also a perpetrator. And if that's how it came off, that Gloria was a perpetrator and not that she was also being abused, then there is some merit in their lawsuits. She also is just the most famous person of the bunch, so she has been the face of it. Gloria was also not the only person to file a countersuit. So did Mary. She tried to countersue the two for defamation. However, a judge ruled on December 22nd, 2023 that there was no merit in the claim and dismissed it. The judge in the case also stated that Mary had no grounds to countersue for defamation, international infliction, or of emotional distress and false light after reviewing the statements made in the original claim stating, and I quote, "Allegedly defamatory statements are found in their complaint and any statements made in legal document in a pending case is protected activity. Boquitas has offered no evidence in support of any of her causes of action." Basically stating, what is in the case, you don't have proof to back up against it. That, hey, they're defaming me, none of this is true. Also, in Gloria's response, she stated that she was also one of, like I said, Sergio's victims, claiming that he took advantage of her because even though she was the famous singer, he was an even more famous producer and executive. And he was even nicknamed Mr. Midas for having the power to turn everything he touched into gold. He was called Mr. Midas Touch for his ability to seek out talented young female artists and promote them specifically. This lawsuit's claim stated, and I quote, "That position allowed him to draw many young girls into his sphere of influence who gathered around him in the hopes that he would guide, mentor, and launch their careers in entertainment, as he had previously done for others. But once these young girls and women had been drawn into his sphere by dreams of stardom, he subjected them to total control and sadistic abuse, mental, financial, and physical and sexual. Miss Trevi was actually one of these young women." Gloria also released a statement to the public stating, and I quote, "No one should have to go through what I have experienced, and I am determined to hold the perpetrators accountable for their actions." Who she means in that, if she means Sergio or if she means the Jane Doe suing her, I'm not sure. Her attorney, Camille M. Vasquez, also released a statement stating, and I quote, "Our client, Gloria Trevi, has shown great strength and courage in stepping forward and filing this counterclaim. We are fully prepared to present our case and seek justice on her behalf." In the court document, Gloria Trevi's lawyer also called for the identities of the two Jane Doe to be released to the public, stating, and I quote, "This is cruel hypocrisy that underlies plaintiff's motion. As plaintiff's well known, Miss Trevi is a victim of horrific abuse at the hands of the defendant, Sergio Andretti, yet Miss Trevi has been publicly named in plaintiff's inflammatory complaint and as a result subjected to extensive public attention. Meanwhile, plaintiffs seek to paint themselves as terrified victims, desperate to avoid the public eye." Now, to that statement, I just want to say my own opinion. That is the dumbest thing I think I have read. These cases were filed in California, which means if it goes to trial, it's not going to be like Mexico. It's not going to be like Brazil. It will be trialed in the United States, in California. So it's not looking good for Gloria if it comes out that she was not a victim. I'm not saying she wasn't. She might be. I'm not actually sure. I don't have enough information. But what I will say is these are two Jane Does who were victimized when they were 13 and 15. Young children. Stating that their identities need to be released to the public so your client with her 6 million followers, 8 million monthly listeners can probably harass these children. Well, they're now adults, but still, no, that's not fair. That's not how it works. There's a reason we allow Jane and John Doe to come forth as Jane and John Does. There's a reason. These young women claim that they were mistreated and abused when they were underage. And here they are allegedly trying to victim blame Gloria's lawyer. It is not a good look, in my opinion, for her lawyers and her defense. Instead, they should be trying to protect the identity. And if they're going to go and say that Gloria is a victim, again, she totally could be. I'm not sure. It would look better for the defense that they also give grace. And instead, let's, like Gloria said, I want to go after the perpetrator, then put all the vitriol towards Sergio. That would make more sense. Gloria is also a massive star, especially if it's going to happen in California, a trial where a lot of Californians speak Spanish. They probably know her. By the victims wanting to remain anonymous, it shows that they're not after fame. Instead, they don't want to face the harassment of Gloria's fans. So we don't know if this is going to trial. I actually don't even know if it's been dismissed yet because there was supposed to be like an update last year. We haven't really gotten anything. That is all the information I have on this case. Her careers keep going, just continues to rise. I can't really give you a side on this because I don't know more information, and we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens next. Hopefully, though, you can see the similarities between Ghislaine Maxwell and maybe some even similarities between Diddy in this situation. For the sake, even if Gloria is dismissed, I would like to see this go to trial so we could see the claims against Sergio and kind of like widen this net of there are perpetrators and horrible people all around us and famous people, and that needs to come to light. So that is all the information I have on this case. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on the case down below. What do you feel? I know it's not a lot of information, but it's what we have available. Again, there hasn't really been a trial. Love you, mean it, kisses, don't think stupid, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.